Want a free PlayStation? Yes, free. Who would have thought in November 2020, when Sony released that PlayStation 5, that we'd be sitting here almost 20 months later with no consoles on shelves and very few available with online retailers? Well, we got our hands on a disc console, but instead of teaching Present Teddy how to play NBA 2K, we'd like to send it to a loyal WagerTalk supporter. You can start earning entries now and repeat daily just by going to wt.buzz/ps5 and perform the social media task below to earn entries into our raffle. The contest will end at midnight on July 3rd, and a random winner will be announced on July 4th. Help us reach 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and grow our social media footprint, and you could be the new owner of a PS5.
What is up, guys? Happy Wednesday. Welcome into WagerTalk TV. You're watching Puck Time, and guys, it feels like Christmas Day for me. The Stanley Cup Finals are here. The playoffs were super exciting. The entire matchups have been great. Lots of great games throughout, but we have a matchup to break down. Game 1 to break down today. Tampa Bay Lightning in Denver, Colorado to take on the Avalanche as Tampa tries to three-peat and win their third straight Stanley Cup. And as Cale Makar pointed out, they have a dynasty over there in Tampa Bay, and in Colorado, they're trying to build a legacy, is what he said. It's going to be a thrilling series, two of the best in the league, and this is going to be probably one of the best Stanley Cup finals I can remember in my time. Carm, what about you, man? You looking forward to this series?
I am, man. I'm super excited for this. We have, if we could have mapped this out a long time ago, or even starting at the beginning of the NHL playoffs, Andrew, the two teams, I think, if you're a fan of the game, the two teams you would want to see in the Stanley Cup Finals would be the Colorado Avalanche, the best team in the West, and the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, Tampa Bay. You'd want to see, if you want to be the best, you got to knock off the best, or if you want to be the champ, you got to knock off the champ, and that's where we are right now. We have a perfect scenario set up for us, and like I said, I would be extremely disappointed if this was a 4-game sweep. I think I would be upset if this was a 5-game series. I want to see this go 6 and possibly 7 games. I would love to see 7 games. 7 games, OT. How about that, man? That would be absolutely fantastic, and I'm just looking forward to it, man. I'm super psyched about getting game 1 started.
Don't quote me on this exactly, but I was on the radio last night on Sports Grid, and I think that we were talking about game 7s in the Stanley Cup final, Carm. I believe the number was only like 2 times in the last 10 years have we seen a game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. And those numbers kind of blew me away. It was a really dominant stat, whatever it might have been. Again, don't hold it to me, but it was something like that, which I was kind of surprised by there. So, hey, with these two teams, it would not shock me to see it go the full distance here.
Andrew, be careful. The grammar police are going to come after you. It's twice. I don't think it's 2 times, but it's twice. 2 times. But I love Twitter. I love
that said that.
I know. I love social media sometimes, Andrew, because you spell a word wrong, and there's some guy who's just checking every single post, all 5 million posts every hour that are posted on Twitter for grammatical errors. But with that said, I just thought I would throw that in there.
I take pride in my grammar. So, Carm, you know what? I appreciate the correction.
It actually could be 2 times. Who knows? It could be wrong.
Either way, people knew what I was saying. People knew what hopefully they did anyway. But anyway, looking at this series, we did a video yesterday, Carmine and I, breaking down the series as a whole, talking about kind of some of the future bets, how these teams got here. So you guys can check that out on the WagerTalk TV YouTube channel, the podcasting networks as well. But Carm, these teams got here in different ways. Of course, Colorado losing just 2 games so far. And both those games coming to the Blues, sweeping the Predators, sweeping the Oilers. Of course, this Tampa Bay team going up against the Leafs. That's a game 7, sweeping the Panthers, and then a game 6 victory to wrap the series up against the New York Rangers here. So let's start things off. Let's talk about it. Let's get into our thoughts on game 1 here. Colorado at home, of course. in Colorado. Minus 160, the opening number we're seeing right now. Tampa Bay plus 135, total at 6 here. Of course, one of the big storylines right now is the time off that Colorado had. For me, I'll put it this way. I think I thought about it too much at the start. I kind of was reading too much into it. I think that too much time off is definitely not a great thing. But maybe in the Stanley Cup Finals, getting time to prep, look at video, get healthy, get fresh, might not be a bad thing. For Tampa Bay, though, they have the experience. There's no jitters for them. There's no nerves. These guys have all been there before. They could have played the next day and been fine. I'm curious, Carm, what your thoughts are initially about the difference with both these teams in the amount of time off they had. You think back to the amount of time off that Tampa Bay had, and they actually scored the first goal against the New York Rangers in that series, ended up losing the game and losing the first 2 games in New York. But what are your thoughts here at just opening game, but also just more specifically here with the scheduling format and how rested Colorado are?
Yeah, I don't think in this case, Andrew, at this point, these guys are just going to be hyped from the opening puck drop out there. And by these guys, I'm talking about the Colorado Avalanche. They made quick work of Nashville, and in that first game, they blew out Nashville in that first game. And then they played the St. Louis Blues, and we saw what happened in that series. It was a much tighter series. Of course, the Binnington injury kind of changed things up a little bit. But in that first game, we saw a Blues team that were just looking to try and stifle and shut down Colorado, and they did it for the most part until and I think that what was that final score? I think it was 2-1, that final score line in that game. But Colorado was all over them, and then even in that series ended and they had to wait on the Edmonton Oilers, they still put up 8 on the Oilers in game 1 of that series, 8-6 final. That was pond hockey at its finest. But I'm not worried about the time off for this team. It's not. I don't think it's an issue at all. I think from opening puck drop, the atmosphere in Colorado is going to be a great one from whatever they do for the opening ceremonies. Once that puck drops, these guys are right into it. This isn't one of those ones where I'm concerned at all about the fact that they knocked off the Oilers in 4. I think it's going to be a great game tonight. And then you talk about Tampa Bay. They've been here. They've been here for, this is their 3rd straight year here. They know what is going on. And if you look at even if you want to look at sort of their path in getting here, which we talked about yesterday, you can look at it. They started slow against the Leafs. They lose that first game 5-0. Florida were pretty much non-existent in that series, and they took care of business there. And then off that bit of rest, they were completely unhinged, or they didn't play well in game 1 against the New York Rangers on the road, losing that one. I think it was 6-2. They're coming in. They're coming into this one ready to go as well too, Andrew. I think we're going to see a barn burner of a game tonight. I'm not really worried about rest for either one of these two teams. I think you can throw that notion right out the window.
You're just throwing it out the window. The rest does not matter. These teams, they're ready to go. I watched the media availability yesterday. I was just on YouTube, found it there, and some of the stuff was really funny. I didn't even know the NHL. Maybe it's kind of a new thing because I know they had the media day, but the NBA media availability is always hilarious, and you're able to get some really funny quotes and good quotes from some of these NHL players. And the build up to this seems to be, hilarious. Lots of funny quotes and super intense. And it almost, I can't really use the David and Goliath expression because it's a team that was favorited all year long. But it's kind of like maybe new school, old school type thing. It's a team that was favorited all year long, but yet it seems like the consensus, people are cheering them on to knock off the back-to-back cups. So the Tampa Bay Lightning are certainly the villains in this series, even though Colorado were favorites throughout the entire year and now big favorites to win this game and series here. When I look at this game and I look at this series in general, I really think there's a correlation between Colorado and the over and Tampa Bay and the under. We know how great Vasilevsky is. We know how tall the blue liners can stand. for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they can be really defensive. They can not jump up into the rush as much as Colorado. When I think about Colorado, I think about a team that is a 5-man attack. Forget about 3 forwards. Forget about 3 forwards and 1 D-man jumping into the rush. Sometimes it is a 5-man unit, which is a little different than what Tampa Bay runs. Getting one guy to chip the puck in behind the red line, the 2 other guys go to the wings and they try and do some work from there. It's a 5-man unit for Colorado. I'm curious to see the speed and of guys like Cale Makar, I mentioned on yesterday's show, if he can get going the similar way that he did against, teams like the Oilers and the Blues, or will they kind of shut down his craftiness, and it'll be a little bit tougher for those defensemen of Colorado to jump into the rush. But when I look at this game, I think that we're actually going to see in this series goals to start the series, but we're also going to see it slow down as the series progresses, as they start to figure each other out, as they start to get these matchups. And Carm, you mentioned yesterday on the show to you about how important the coaching matchups will be. The last change, these coaches making the right adjustments. And in the first 4 to 5 minutes of this game, we're going to find out who's going to go up against who. To me, I think it's interesting that we didn't hear much in the media about McKinnon versus McDavid, that matchup. McKinnon actually had a slow 3rd round of the playoffs, but he was matched up defensively the whole series pretty much against McDavid, which of course takes away from his offensive responsibilities, but turns him more into a defensive guy shutting down McDavid. So it will be interesting to see what these matchups look like. But I think out the gate, I'm expecting some goals. And, I want to see the first period first. At first, I was worried about Colorado. And honestly, I kind of am going to take this approach that you've heard me take throughout the entire playoffs. I want Tampa Bay to win game 1 so I can get a better price on the series and take Colorado to win it. I'm not sure that can happen. I'm not sure how, quote for quote, rusted this youthful and fast and exciting Colorado team is really going to be. So I can't really take that into account with the too much rest here. But I know for a fact I'll be getting a pretty good price if Tampa Bay does win game 1. But what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You could get your wish. Tampa could win tonight. You get a much better price on Colorado. To your point of, and we talked about coaches yesterday, I think Cooper obviously is a much better coach and makes adjustments much better than Bednar does. But give Jared Bednar credit because, he sacrificed some offense for defense in these playoffs with his matchups of putting McKinnon on McDavid, and you can't just play the same ways you normally do. I think, at least for these first 2 games, the matchup we're going to see as far as McKinnon goes is we're going to see Cooper putting Cirelli on him. He did a fantastic job. And when they rejigged his lines after those 2 games in New York against the Rangers, he went a long way, Cirelli, to shutting down that Kreider and Zibanejad line. He made the right moves, and they went on, like I said, to win that series, win 4 straight after he shuffled his lines. The difference here is the first 2 games are in Colorado. So with that last change, advantage Bednar as far as who he's got out there and who matches up with McKinnon as far as that goes. The Rangers are going to have to make quick changes in order to get, if your plan is to put Cirelli on McKinnon, then they're not going to be in that same face-off circle together. It's going to be one of those ones where McKinnon's out there and Cirelli's got to make that quick change, get onto the ice for that line. So we'll see how it goes. But advantage games 1 and 2, obviously to Bednar, and we'll see how he sets up. And as you said, we could see some goals early on in this series, and then as they make the adjustments, which I think they do, and once they head back to Florida or to Tampa in this case, it's what Cooper does if he's down 2 games to nothing in this series. He's going to have to make some changes to this thing. But this is one of those series where, Andrew, both teams can win on the road. So falling behind in a series, I don't think is going to be a big thing. Obviously, if you're Tampa Bay, you don't want to fall behind 2-0 in this series. We always talk about early on in the playoffs, a road team wanting to win game 1. It's usually the most likeliest of games to win is game 1, and we saw it in the opening round of the NHL playoffs. I think it was 5 teams, if I'm correct, won the opening game on the road in the playoffs. So we'll see what Tampa has here. But coaching is a big part of this one. You have to say that. And we've got 2 good ones here. We'll see what the matchups are really quickly tonight.
When I talked about the first period, what to expect out of that, I wanted to mention, obviously, besides the sweep that we saw over the Florida Panthers from Tampa Bay, we saw a real bad performance, actually, the first and second period, really, from Tampa Bay against the Maple Leafs and against the Rangers in their game ones so far. Obviously, I can't say anything about a sweep. I mean, they did very well against Florida in that first period, but I think it's real crucial that as much as I agree with you talking about how these teams they're so talented, they could steal games on the road. No doubt about it. I'm with you on that, but I do think it's important for Tampa Bay to have a good start to this game. Don't let that building get on fire, 5 minutes into the game. Have a good one and maintain possession and try and establish something, whether it's, those guys throwing their weight around and throwing some hits, or whether it's actually scoring goals. I think the first period is huge here.
Yeah, and Andrew, we saw it in all of the Eastern Conference games that Tampa was involved in. We get those post-game sound bites from John Cooper. They lose 5-0 to the Leafs. They're really not worried. We just didn't compete. We didn't play. We didn't show up tonight. They lose 6-2 to the Rangers, and we haven't done anything yet. He's got the sound bites. He knows his team. He knows that in the dressing room to a man, they're going to show up in the next game. He knows they're never out of a series. So we'll see what happens tonight, and whether we have to relive or listen to the John Cooper sound bites after game 1 or not. So I'm not really worried about Tampa in that sense if they lose game 1. But if you're looking to make a Colorado series bet, Andrew, then for your sake, I hope Tampa wins game 1 tonight.
I appreciate it, and hopefully that's the way it goes. But it's going to be a good one. Let's talk about some props here real quick. You have a prop for a best bet. I have a prop for a best bet. But just going down the list here, kind of window shopping here, going past kind of the top couple of guys with Kucherov, Rantanen, and McKinnon, going down the list. So you could even get Landeskog plus 180, Palat plus 215, a guy you've cashed on, the Chushkin plus 215, Makar plus 245, Lehkonen plus 275. Corey Perry is a guy that sticks out to me at plus 295. He's just that guy that scores the most garbage, disgusting goals that will never make it on ESPN or TSN in Canada. But that's the kind of guy you want in the playoffs. And again, Corey Perry, this is kind of unbelievable to think, but this is his 3rd straight appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. Dallas, Montreal, and now with Tampa Bay. And hey, if you can't beat him, Carm, you might as well join him, because the 2 times he's lost in the Stanley Cup Finals were against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, hey, might as well join the team and see what you can do. So it'd be pretty sad if this guy loses this year, and he loses twice against them and then loses once with them. But at plus 295, I thought that one presented some value there. And a guy that you've talked about, this is for an Avalanche player, JT Compher, at plus 320. As much as I mentioned yesterday on the show that I think that it's important that they get Rantanen and McKinnon going early here in this series, I think that a guy like that is kind of the equivalent. Maybe I shouldn't really say he's comparable to Perry, but he's down there in the depth chart. And, at plus 295 and plus 320, just doing some window shopping there. Some of those are pretty interesting prices. But any thoughts from you just on shot props or anything like that, or the goalie saves? Is there anything that really sticks out to you for game 1?
Yeah, when you talk about the Corey Perry one, to that point, and just talking about Corey Perry in himself, he might be a big player in this series for Tampa Bay, because we saw what he did from game 3 on in this last series against New York Rangers. He was literally in front of the net. Remember, I talked about making life uncomfortable for a goalie as good as Shesterkin. When the Rangers are keeping players to the outside, or keeping shots to the outside. He's stopping everything. It's when you get someone in front of him, you create a little bit of traffic. And we saw he got in his mind. We saw the stuff with Shesterkin throwing his gloves and stick in the air to draw a penalty. It reminded me of the old Ron Hextall days of where he looked like he was hit. He was shot by a sniper in that crease. Same thing now, because we talk about these Colorado goalies, and whether it's Francouz or whether it's Darcy Comfer, it's making life uncomfortable for them. And it's Corey Perry in front of the goal. So Andrew, he's going to get those. If he's in front of that net, you get those deflections, you get those ones. He's not going to give you a goal scorer's goal, but he's going to get in front of the net, make life uncomfortable for a goalie. And for Colorado, who their goalies don't have great numbers in the playoffs this year, I think 16 and 29 were the rankings for their goalies thus far in the playoffs. You could get those deflections in front of the goal. So he plays that important part. And when you look at shots on goal, one actually stands out, and this is one of my client plays, so I'll toss this one out there, is shots on goal for Andre Palat. Over 1.5. You've got to lay some big on it. I think it's like 160 or 165, but unfortunately, with these shot props, you're going to have to lay big during the Stanley Cup, in most cases on these 1.5s and sometimes on these 2.5s. But in 11 of 17 games, he's registered at least two or more shots on goal, cashing that number, and he's always at 1.5. So it's kind of like the Adam Fox in the last series, where just picking up a point you would cash, and eventually those prices went up. He was, anywhere from minus 125 to minus 135, and then for the last two games of that series, he was at minus 175. You literally get priced out at some point, because the books catch up. When you scored in or registered a point in 15 of 17 games, the books are taking note of that, Andrew. So as far as that goes, those are a couple that I would look at. I don't mind taking a flyer on it. The goal scoring props maybe in game one is not a bad way to go, because in game one, I had a ton of goal scoring props and other props in the first game of the Edmonton and Colorado series, and I hit them all. And truth be told, you could have thrown a dart at goal scoring props in game one that finished 8-6, and you would have hit something. So with that said, I don't want to pat myself on the back. 14 goals, you're going to hit something if you're taking the Stars in that series.
Carmine, I remember Dave was on the show with us, I think, the day after that show or that game happened. And I know he's not a prop guy, but he got a good kick out of when I said pretty much the same thing that you said. I was like, if you're a prop bettor and you placed a bet on that game and didn't hit one, you gotta stop making prop bets. Like if you didn't hit one in that game, there's a problem there. But you talk about those prices moving, and a guy that I'm going back to with my best bet in just a few minutes is going to be someone that's very similar to what you were talking about with these. They start the series a little bit lower, and then if they start making something happen, they price them up a little bit and up and up and up, and then you kind of get priced out. But once you make enough money betting on them, it's worth it to lay the chalk. At least that's how I feel, especially about these props. But look, guys, for the NHL playoffs here, we've been giving out props. We've been doing picks, totals, sides. You can find all of our best bets at WagerTalk.com. All of you guys have watched us all year long. We appreciate you. I apologize that as a host, I'm not always interacting with the live chat. Of course, plenty of you guys are watching afterwards and archived. I just want to say thanks to everybody. If you do want our best bets and our top plays, you can get them at WagerTalk.com. Right now, you can get 7-day passes. You can get the rest of our NHL. You can get 3 days. You can get 1-day passes. But I'm going to give Carmine a chance in a second when he gives us his best bet. But I just want to say that for me, there's going to be some nights where I'm going to give you 2 or 3 prop plays, a total, and maybe a side. And there's going to be some nights during this series where I'm going to give 1-2% prop bet. So it's going to be different. It's going to be circumstantial on every game and how I feel. So some days you come on you watch the show, you hear me talking about certain goal scoring props and stuff like that. some of these guys like Corey Perry, I'm going to have a little sprinkle on him tonight. That's not going to make my card at the plus 295. It's a small little sprinkle, but all my best plays, all my top plays, you can find at WagerTalk. But I'm certainly betting these, and Carmine and I, everything we say here on the show, we value these picks. We're taking them ourselves, and all of our best and favorite plays are given to our clients over at WagerTalk. But best bets coming up here. We've both had a great season with the best bets. Karma's blown me out of the water, though, recently with the best bets, especially with these goal-scoring props. I got to pick it up here in the Stanley Cup Finals. But, Carm, I'll go to you, man, for any words on that, some package info. You're on a great run, man. You're crushing it right now, not just hockey, but all sports. And we'll look forward to, seeing more of that from you in the Stanley Cup Finals. Wait, hold on. Before we get into that, actually, we have a graphic from John Ryan. I do not want to forget about it. John is too kind of a person for me to do this again. I already did it one time. I cannot let that happen again. If you're watching this, pause the video right now. If you're back now, this is the NHL angle of the day. Game 1, Stanley Cup Finals. Look at this. He's talking about home teams. The success that they've had. Stanley Cup Finals Game 1 here. 12-3 with the money line average minus 155 favorite. So a lot of great information here, a lot of great different stats. And if you're ever looking at one of these angles from John Ryan, you're getting all the evidence you need. You're backing up anything that he says. He's not giving you one or two things, one or two reasons. Lots of stats, lots of trends, lots of great information, lots of stuff here. John Ryan, NHL Game 1, Stanley Cup Finals. Carm, I apologize. I was hyping you up. I was teeing you up, and I didn't want to forget about that. Over to you, man.
It's all good. Listen, it's a great angle. I appreciate John sending that through to us. And when we don't get them up, we'll always tweet them out from our Puck Time account, so you guys do see what the angle of the day is. And of course, everyone in our chat, man, you guys have been here all season long during the playoffs. So we've got, and this is what I'm going to do, just for a couple of the guys. We've got Rev, who is our moderator now. He gets rid of those spam bots with the porn links and stuff quicker than they show up. Although I'd like to see who those spam bots actually like in Game 1 of the series. And then you got Brandon Katz. He gives out a lot of good info. He's always active in our chat. So Rev, Brandon, send Andrew your info on Twitter, because Andrew's much better at this. And I will make sure that we get you guys out a WagerTalk prize swag pack, like the stuff that we gave out in Vegas during the meet and greet. You guys have been great all season long, and I will get them out for you guys. So Brandon, Rev, message Andrew and with your info, and we'll make sure we get those out to you guys. Really appreciate it. And for the rest of you guys, I haven't forgotten you. I'll do some stuff during the rest of the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, as far as show best bet, Andrew, I'm going to get right into it. Best player in the league, I'm going to go with him to score a goal in this game, Nathan McKinnon. No, the best player in the league is not Austin Matthews. No, it is not Connor McDavid. It's Nathan McKinnon. Game 1 at home, Stanley Cup Finals. You look for your best players to show up. Obviously, the matchups here, if you can avoid Cirelli, then try to shut him down. Your best player shows up. Nathan McKinnon, plus 125, Andrew, to show up. I've got a 4% play up in NHL tonight. I've got a series 5% price up that you can still get, and 4 prop bets. So pick up that $39 one-day all access, and you can get all of those plays along with a 3-pack in MLB tonight.
Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. Carmine Bianco looking for a McKinnon goal in Game 1. I love it. And, hey, saying he's the best player in the world right now. As a fellow Nova Scotian, I'm happy to hear that, and we'll see if he can prove that in this series. I have a 5% play up in the NHL tonight. Like I mentioned, probably not going to have a lot of these this round, obviously, in the Stanley Cup, but one spot I really did like for tonight, of course, some props out for clients too. Goal scoring props and shots on goal props. Didn't love much as far as the goalie saves, but I would lean towards Darcy Kemper over staying off the Vasi numbers there for the shots on goal or the goalie save prop. For me, with my best bet today, you guys should know by now who I'm going for. It's a defenseman on the Avalanche. He plays with Cale Makar. His name is Devon Toews, and you have to remember that name because Lou Lamoriello should remember that name. That was the worst trade in history. Maybe not in history, but from the New York Islanders. The Islanders say they need more offense from their defensemen, but yet they gave up this guy who is just lighting it up, playing with Makar, a great offensive guy. And we're getting a great number here for him just to record a point. All right. He's had a great playoff so far. Devon Toews to record a point tonight is only minus 140. I think he gets the job done. And thank you, Lou Lamoriello, for just giving away for a bag of pucks to the Colorado Avalanche. I'm sure they're happy about it themselves. So looking at some recap here, we have Carm with McInnis to score a goal at a plus 125 price. I have Toews to record a point at minus 140. Great stuff, guys. Comment below on our YouTube video. Let us know, number one, who you're cheering for, and number two, who you're betting on to win this series and hoist the Stanley Cup. On behalf of Carmine, I'm Andrew. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Who's thinking about buying football in June? Well, with the super early bird football promotion at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, we have a few reasons why. Early bird pricing for NFL and college football combo is $8.99. But using coupon code FOOTBALL100, you can take $100 off, dropping the price to $7.99. If you purchase by June 30th and use coupon code FOOTBALL100 to get your $100 discount, we'll also toss in an additional bonus. On July 4th, we'll take the highest scoring MLB game of the day and give you $10 for every run scored. Yes, so if July 4th, the highest scoring game is 10-9, you will get $190 in wager bucks to use how you choose. This super early bird $100 discount using Football 100 and wager bucks bonus expires on June 30th with no exceptions. So if you plan to bet football this year, this is the lowest price we will offer. So act fast and lock in your favorite football handicappers in both NFL and college football through the national championships and Super Bowl.